Pastor James Dobb and the members of St. Paul Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod, thank you for joining with us today.
Grace, mercy, and peace from God our Father and from our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Our text today is from Luke 18. It's the parable about the widow and the judge. Jesus, you see, was a master at telling a story, a short story. And in this particular text, he shows us a short story to convey a very special spiritual truth to you and to I. This story is one with two characters. There's a judge who doesn't respect anybody, God or man, and then there's a widow who has some needs. Jesus is teaching us today about perseverance, but not necessarily our perseverance, but God's perseverance. What is the lesson that the widow teaches us? First, it's something about ourselves. We, like the widow, face injustice. The text doesn't say what the injustice was, but often we don't know what will happen to us. We don't know what's going to happen this afternoon. All kinds of things could happen. And tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. We could be maligned, we could be robbed, we could be slandered. With all this rain today, we could drown. Who knows? However, our sin makes us deserve absolutely nothing from God. Absolutely nothing from God's punishment. People sin against us, and we sin against people by, as we said in the confession today, by thought, by word, and by deed. In the face of evil done to us and the evil we have done to others, we are tempted to throw in the towel. So what's the use? If we're going to sin, let's just sin. If all these bad things are going to happen to us, let them happen. But God shows us how persistent He is in inviting us to seek His help for Christ's sake. Jacob in the Old Testament today is an example of someone who wrestled with an angel. Just like we wrestle every day with trials and tribulations. After all, we're not some unknown. We are the people of God. We are the adopted children of God. Through the vicarious work of Jesus Christ, His only begotten Son, the widow teaches us a lesson about ourselves. Jesus persistently endured the cross as a substitute for the injustice and the wickedness of mankind. Jesus drank to the dregs the cup of salvation. He never faulted. He persisted. He persisted, declaring on the cross that day, "It is finished," and promising to be with us always. The lesson that the widow teaches us today is that we are not persistent, but the Father is persistent. Now to the other character in this parable, this short story. The judge teaches us something about ourselves too. The judge's decision was a selfish one. He just wanted to get the widow off his back. She was bothering him. She'd been to it once, twice, many times before. Many of our decisions are selfish also, with little desire to benefit and to praise God. Why do we stop at a stop sign? Why do you stop at a stop sign? You've got it. It's the law. But that's not the reason we stop at a stop sign. We stop at stop signs to protect other people. We stop at stop signs because we appreciate the law, but the law has a purpose. The law shows us our sin, and the gospel is what saves us. The gospel is the reason we stop at a stop sign, not necessarily the law. Selfishness is unrighteousness and deserves punishment. To avoid punishment, or do we protect life by stopping at a stop sign? The judge is a picture of how we deal with one another. That's how the judge deals with one another. But God is quite different. His persistence is quite different. The judge says, "Okay, leave me alone. I'll give you what you want. Just get off my back." God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. The judge is selfish. God is not. God is trustworthy. He wants us to hold on to Him, to His promise of blessing. And He answers our prayers, but not necessarily meeting our timetable, but the answer is always at the right time in the right place. I can't accept that sometimes. I want things now. And if you remember the last sermon I preached here, I said in the text that I want it now. I want it all. That's not the way God operates. This is an excellent short story that Jesus writes us. It's about persistence. It's a lesson in how unpersistent we can be and how God is always persistent with His blessing. God wants us to always pray and not despair. But it is only as we realize His faithfulness towards us for Christ's sake that we will manifest our faith and recognize the desired outcome in our prayers. Only God's persistence in blessing leads to our persistence in prayer. So what should you do? Continue to pray. And you can. You have the power to. Because Christ Jesus was persistent for you. Because He persisted carrying His cross to Calvary, suffering and dying and rising again. So that nothing in this world can separate you from the love of God in Jesus Christ. Now may the peace of God, which passes understanding, keep your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. Amen.
Pastor James Dobb and the members of St. Paul Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod, thank you for joining with us today. May God be with you always.